Okay, so our first speaker of the morning is a logophile. See what I did there? I went and found a good word because he has a personal mission to popularize the word aposiopesis.
Aposiopesis.
Oh, so close. I'll keep working on that. Scott Thompson started Associated in July of this year as the VP of the Energy Risk Management Division and Chief Risk Officer. He comes here with a tremendous amount of experience from working all the way back on drilling and mapping of the Marcellus Shale back in the 80s for Halliburton to becoming a logistics expert for moving natural gas on pipelines to create the natural gas trading desk for ASIS in 2001. It was at ASIS that he got engaged with co-ops where he helped build natural gas infrastructure for over 20 plants. He now comes to Associated to help us capitalize on our assets by reducing risk and creating certainty. In his personal time, Scott is a runner, a hobby that he picked up in his 40s after having knee surgery, which to me just doesn't go together. Knee surgery and then start running. But he enjoys it. He's run a number of half marathons and has 2 more coming up. He also has another way to focus, and it almost cost him his entire career. You see, during his freshman year of college, he was introduced to the Rubik's Cube. He became so obsessed with it that he nearly flunked out that year, and now it's a focusing device for him. So if you go in his office, you'll see he has a solved one, and he really appreciates if you walk in there and just mess it up so that he can focus some more. Today, Scott will give us some insights in a presentation titled Lessons I Have Learned from Playing Monopoly. Please join me in welcoming Scott Thompson.
Thanks. Go ahead. For those who don't know me, I am Scott Thompson, and I'm the Vice President of Risk here at Associated. I'm not the new guy anymore, but I was born in near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, not Kansas. And this past year, both my parents turned 80, so we had a couple very special reasons to get together to celebrate. But really, any time when our family gets together, it's a special time. And we're big Steeler fans, and last year the Steelers played the Colts in Indianapolis, and we had 22 family and friends over for Thanksgiving, the biggest affair we've ever had. And you know, those are the lifelong memories that keep our hope and prosperity alive, and truly a Steeler victory made it even sweeter. You know, and the life lessons in Monopoly, there are just so many. They're no fun to be playing by themselves, to play by yourself, so you need others to play with. So who do you want to be? The boot, the iron, the thimble, the Scotty dog? Who gets to pick first, and who gets stuck being with the iron? My little brother usually got stuck with the iron. Most think the game is about winning, but I've learned so much more. There are many life lessons I've learned, but I can only go over a few. So, you know, these life lessons, you all, with the end in mind, we all want to flip over the board, right? So why does this happen? Because somebody lost hope. Losing hope, how do you keep your hope and prosperity alive? You know, the hope of winning isn't there, so you hope nobody can win, right? But at the beginning of the game, everyone has the same amount of hope and prosperity. You know, everyone starts with the same amount of money. Everyone starts at go. No one has a head start. The game of Monopoly is about keeping that hope and prosperity alive. Keep going around the board and hope and keeping that hope alive. Many times in life, when I begin to lose hope, I want to flip over the board, but I can't do that. So I reach for a new hope or search for a new hope, something new to do, something new to love. I find that often with my family, my spouse, our kids, the career, my faith. We all need hope in our lives, so we don't want to flip over the board. As a kid, what I learned from Monopoly money is it's not real. We all know that. But counting money and keeping it organized is very important. Learning to spend money to make money is also very important, and spending too much money can get you in trouble. Learning these life lessons with fake money is kind of the real lesson of the game of Monopoly. It's a lot less costly than with real money. One very important decision to make is who's going to be the banker of the game. It's important that it's someone you trust, but is also good with money and can make change quickly. We never let my little brother be the banker because he could never change money quickly. Ironically, today he's CEO of an accounting firm. Monopoly taught me to have a sound strategy but remain flexible. Just like life, Monopoly has a randomness to its game. The double sixes, the snake eyes, low probability things will happen, and you need to learn how to deal with them in life. Be prepared for those randomness in your life. Passing go to collect 200 kind of reinvigorates you. Each payday, it renews your hope. Are you on track to meeting your goals? I frequently ask myself 3 questions. What happened since the last payday that went well? What happened since the last payday that didn't go well? And what do I need to do the next time around the board? Do I need to change my strategy? Monopoly experts say the best investments are monopolies themselves, the 4 railroads and the 2 utilities. A famous capitalist once said, I never met a capitalist that didn't love a monopoly. When looking for good investments, I look for those characteristics from monopolies. They're usually pretty good investments. Monopolies have their place and they have a lot of power. But when they gain too much power and you don't remain humble and supportive of the communities in which they operate in, society or you gets frustrated with them and you want to flip the board over. For great power comes great responsibility, said Spider-Man and Voltaire. He stole it from Voltaire. If you're the one in power, use it wisely. Let your younger brother pay half rent so he doesn't go bankrupt and want to flip over the board to keep the game going on. And who knows, he might be CEO of an accounting firm someday. Spread the prosperity, invest in your relationships. We all strive to have a wonderful life. I know I would much rather be George Bailey than Mr. Potter. And remember, life isn't fair. When good things happen, remain humble, for bad things could be right around the corner. Rolling doubles may speed you around the board ahead of your competition so you can collect more paydays and more money, but rolling doubles 3 times in a row lands you in jail. Stay humble, save when you can, not when you have to. Free parking's kind of boring the first few times around the board, but if your little brother has a hotel on Kentucky Avenue and you land on free parking, it is quite the blessing. So everything is a matter of time and perspective. So in life, whether it is good or bad. So be grateful for the things you have, not those that you don't. Now there's house rules. Sometimes landing on go means you collect $400. Well, generally we all know the Monopoly rules. House rules vary greatly. Not understanding these house rules of Monopoly, you have little chance of succeeding. So always know the house rules and customs of where you are and how they could or couldn't affect the game. Even in power marketing, we have house rules. Tiffany once asked me, she says, can you explain this RTO thing to me? SPP, MISO, PJM? I said, well, it's kind of like the game of Monopoly. They're all the same, but they each have these house rules. And if you don't know these small house rules, it's not likely you're going to be successful in them. You need to understand those house rules. My most fun Monopoly games were played on the snow days, but the best time to play was the inevitable double snow day. Yes, that is my daughter in the pink hat there. This is truly the best life's lesson I learned. You can play far into the night and lifelong friendships are developed, but it's not about winning. It's about spending time with family and friends. Remember, the goal of the game is to keep going around the board. It has taught me the most expensive things are rarely the best. We all have experience of buyer's remorse. I've certainly learned that as a very young kid playing Monopoly. Allocate your resources wisely and spend money to make money is a good thing, but spending too much, well, that is certainly another. Keep cash on hand for the unexpected opportunities in life, as well as the unexpected costs in life. A large medical bill, car repair, that type of thing. I tell my kids to always carry cash. You always need emergency cash when you travel. Today, so many people never carry cash. And don't forget to spend time and invest in your family and friends. You have worked too hard not to enjoy the game of life. And when you have a hotel in the game of Monopoly, don't forget to invite your friends over for some fun too. Rent-free. For those are the times you're going to remember forever. If you keep hope and prosperity alive, you'll never want to flip the board over. And in my view, playing Monopoly is about way more than winning. It's about learning life lessons, learning to deal with real life's problems with fake money, and forging lifelong relationships with siblings and friends to keep you from flipping over the board or helping one of your friends or family from flipping over the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Questions from the audience? Jerry.
Was this kind of an inside look at how your interview went for your position here?
Flipping over the board? I was Mr. Analogy guy, so there's probably 30 analogies in there that they just come out like people call me Cook Clavin, if you remember Cheers. I just like to relate things to the most simplest thing possible to relate that, and then you can build on that as it gets more complex. So that's just me.
Yes.
How many siblings do you have, and are you all in financial related?
No, I have a sister in Orange County, California, and then I have two siblings, an older brother and a younger brother, and yes, they're both accountants, and yeah.
Between monopoly players.
So I was the mediator between all this. I knew how to. Yes, sir.
Cameron.
Is there an analogy in when the board is filled up with only hotels, the safest place to be is in jail for 3 terms?
You know, my wife and I came up with about 25 life lessons that we actually learned. We actually had a lot of fun doing this and coming up with different topics. In 6 minutes and 40 seconds, you can only come down to a few. And Brent told me, he said, you got way too many in there, Scott. Get a lot of them out and just fix on 2 or 3. And it's really about hope and prosperity. Yesterday I was talking after our practice, and somebody said, well, we aren't even allowed to play Monopoly in our house anymore. And I'm like, why? You want these kids to learn these lessons in a safe environment with fake money. If you got to experience these with real money in real life, they hurt a lot more. Yeah.
Okay, I can't pronounce that word, but what was it? What does it mean?
Aposiopesis?
Yeah.
If you read my blog, but aposiopesis is my favorite word. And to summarize my blog real quick, I looked up the word apoplexy because somebody died of a sudden painless death of apoplexy, and I didn't think what that meant. But it's a stroke of the brain. And back in the old days before Google, you went to a dictionary to look it up, and you can't just look up one word. And aposiopesis is about 10 words lower than it, and it's a sudden loss of a thought in the middle of a sentence. And I was giving a speech, and I had the introduction, and I told my joke and my background, and then I lost it all. And all of a sudden, I couldn't find my note cards, and I'm like, dang, that aposiopesis. And then I found where my cards were. I flipped my first card over, and I got back, and I started going, and somebody yells in the crowd, just like he did, what's aposiopesis? And so I told the story about, looking up the word and the whole story. But my daughter used to call it apple pie pieces, and that's how you can remember how to pronounce it, Charlie.
Thank you very much, Scott.